Okay, so the next stage, as you can see on our little plan, is the present stage. This is where we're asking the question, what information do I need to share with my students? And then, of course, what tools can I use to share? So the easiest way to share is the same as a lecture, right? You can use Google Slides or PowerPoint. But of course, if you are wanting to do something where there's a video or a piece of music you want to share, you can do that as well using Zoom. I would recommend if you're sharing a long video, consider maybe doing it separately. Have them watch it beforehand, because sometimes if you have a big meeting, you can't guarantee that everyone can see the video you're sharing. So just keep in mind that sometimes the technology isn't reliable in that sense. You can also share a phone or a stylus pad, actually, but you can connect your phone to the meeting and you can choose to share what's on your screen if you want to do a touch screen. You can video using a phone and connect that to the meeting, and you can actually share something in writing. So there are so many creative ways to share information with your students. Okay, so I'm back in the classroom and I'm ready to start the presentation stage. As I said before, I'm planning on using Google Slides to deliver the core content of my lesson. So how do I share Google Slides with my students? How do I make sure they can see the presentation? I go to Screen Share, and what do I click? Do I click Screen? I would say no. When you actually share your whole screen, it means that they can see everything on your screen. They can see all of the tabs that come up. They can see any extra recording apps you have. So it can be a bit complicated and a bit slow. I recommend sharing one specific application. So if you have a video to play, you could share the video, and you can share your computer sound itself so that the sound goes from your computer through the Zoom connection. If you have a video clip, you can optimize it to make sure that the visual is better. And what I want to do is I actually want to share my Chrome browser, because that's how I access my Google Slides. But this is my lesson plan. Where is my presentation? I wasn't prepared before I shared my screen here. So this tab is what I had open. I want to have this one. So I might actually pull it out here, so that way it's easy to find. And now they can see my actual presentation, and I can go through the presentation. However, I'm not able to see my notes, and I like to write notes in my presentation so I know what to say. So what can I do? Let's exit this. I can actually prepare it by going to Present and looking at Presenter View. Now I have a separate tab. Let me stop my screen share. I'll show you again. I have a separate tab here, which will let me control my presentation, see my notes, and the students won't be able to see it. So let's try this again. We first go to Share Screen, and now I have more options. What do I click? Do I click Demo Lesson, Presenter View, or my lesson plan? I click my demo lesson. That's what I want my students to see. So let's share that. Perfect. This is what the students see, and I can click through here, or I can open my presenter view. Can my students see this? No, they can't. So this actually is really helpful. I can just click next, and this is what the students are seeing here. So let's try this again as if we were asking the students the question. So stop share. All right, this is my demo lesson now. All right, class, let's get started with the presentation. Let me share my screen with you, and please feel free to use the chat box to answer my questions. I'll be looking at the chat box. Okay, class, can you see the screen okay? Great. So today we're going to talk about thought groups. So before we begin, I want you to tell me, what pronunciation techniques do we use to emphasize words? What do we do with our voices? Absolutely, we talk in a loud voice. We use intonation. We use long vowel sounds, and we use pauses. Great job. All right, class. How many thought groups are in this sentence? What do you think? I'd like 6 oranges and 2 pieces of cheese. Please write your answer in the chat box. Exactly. There are 2 thought groups. I'd like 6 oranges and 2 pieces of cheese. And remember, we can tell this because of the comma, right? Well done. Okay, so what did I do? What were the steps I took to show my slide and to do this teaching? I asked the question, I asked them to use the chat box, and then I checked. And of course, it is a little bit tricky managing the slideshow and the chat box, but it'll come easily with practice. And I waited a little bit as well. Another tip for you is to just be comfortable with that awkward silence. It's always longer in your head than it is in real life. You have to remember that sometimes audio takes a while to transmit if you have a slow internet connection. So, and they're reading, they're thinking. It's okay to take your time. It's okay to have pauses. All right, what did you notice about this question? How many thought groups? Would you say this is kind of an open, long answer question, or is it a shorter, closed question? This is a closed question. There's only, so many answers it could be, and it's easy for them to type the answer. Why do you think it's important to do this when you're giving a lecture? I think it's important because it makes everything go more smoothly, more efficiently. If I just asked a question like, what is a thought group? I'm going to get 30 different variations of the same thing. That's more of an open-ended question. And it takes time to give feedback to every single person. If you ask questions in binary, like yes or no, fill in the blank, where there's only kind of one-word answers, or even multiple choice like A, B, and C, it makes your classroom management a lot easier, and you're doing some practice at the same time as you're doing your presentation. Do you think that students like being able to participate while you're giving the lecture? Well, I don't know, maybe they prefer to be just being passive and doing something at the same time, but this is engaging them, and it's helping you to see if they're paying attention. And that way you can follow up with people who weren't participating.